Welcome back to the CSGO Pro League. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank one of our sponsors, SanDisk, for making this season happen. Also, if you guys didn't know, the Guild Wars 2 World Championship is taking place September 17th, where the world's best teams will be battling it out for $200,000 in prize money. That's going to be happening here live at the ESL studios in California. For more information on that, go to Twitter and follow at ESLGW2. Ryu, moving on to Cash, overall thoughts on compLexity versus Immortals?
I think this is going to be a map that tends to lend itself to individual performances. It's a map that has the option to be very tactical, but it also has the option to play a little bit puggy, looser, look for picks. I would expect Immortals to probably not have to reach too deep into the playbook to be able to pull out this win, and I'm not sure it's going to be any closer than what we saw on Train.
All right, so in other words, compLexity doesn't stand a chance, but it looks like the players are getting ready, and I'm going to send this over to Blue and the man with the best chest hair in all of CSGO. Moses, take it away, guys.
Wow, does he know that from experience? Or?
Yeah, we were at the beach yesterday.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah.
It seemed a bit impromptu, that statement there. Kind of popped
You
out
know,
of
every
nowhere.
once in a while, let's change subject completely.
I mean,
let's
Tom brought it up.
just go elsewhere. Yeah, so Cash. I'm a little bit surprised that Ryu said that compLexity doesn't have a chance. You feel like you have a soft spot for teams that just don't have chances in matches. But no, this is going to be another very, very tough test, because I mean, Ryu was right in one thing. He did say that this is a map that can lend itself to being very tactical, very strategic, and also just let the individual skill of your players shine. Well, in both of those areas, Immortals surpasses compLexity. So much like we saw on Train, it's just going to be so incredibly tough. It is going to take some kind of heroic individual effort.
I mean, again, the only real key player I would sort of talk about from that last matchup would have been Surreal to a certain degree, who shows up on kind of both halves, at least some semblance of it there. The others were just seeing like random appearances where, oh, great playing that round, but then they go away for the next like 5 or 6 rounds.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it to you. I'll let you have that one. It just didn't look like they just don't have that kind of any kind of cohesion in these maps that I noticed. They don't have like this tactical mind. You could see like when Zeus is making calls for his team with Immortals, you can see like kind of the concept of how their plays want to work out, how their rotations are working across the map. For compLexity, it's just you're just saying, okay, someone's going to have to hit something crazy to open up this bomb site because they don't have that coordinated style as nearly as down. So it is a little bit worrying, but. Yeah, I just keep being interested in seeing how Immortals is going to develop. So this is another cool point with Cash, where it's just a fun map to watch.
I'm more curious to see if the very aggressive style on the T side that we saw from the Immortals in the last map is going to continue here too. Because I mean, like I said, it was very decisive plays. They weren't hanging back, waiting for picks, and with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 rounds, they were just going at it every single round. They had their execute, maybe waiting a few seconds, obviously, not to make it so obvious, but beyond that, as soon as they were primed to execute, just go in as soon as the time is right.
The fun part is that this is a map as well. It's not just aggression on Terra side that can be executed. Aggressive CT sides are very effective on this map, but they're so much fun to watch. Just pushing into A main, pushing up through B. Even if you don't necessarily find the kills, you find some information. You know what's happening other sides of the map. So a lot of options available to the more tactical teams like Immortals.
You can talk about it. Like Cloud9's a really good example of a team that utilizes that aggression on CD side. Stewie with his positioning inside of A main, they have a really good setup for that site that has been pretty crusher when they played it over the past couple of months.
Yeah, I think the Operas can have a big play. I think that's what would be interesting, because we didn't see Immortals even attempt really a double op setup. I don't even know who would be their second opera, actually, now that I think about it. I don't have that in my mind if they would want to use a second up with. But we saw compLexity very willing to do that. Surreal was picking one up. I know Def uses it from time to time. Whitmer as well can pick it up and be okay. But this is that map where the double op setup, it's one of the maps where you'd say it's more effective than others.
Absolutely, because you can have such a good positioning with it there too, especially since it takes a bit of time to get the opera from, like, say, the usual position he'd be playing from his mid. It takes such a long time to rotate him over to an area where he's actually going to be able to have impact, whether that's moving him from Z to like behind truck, or Z to get him up towards heaven, or just inside CT main. It takes a really long time to prime up for that, and it's very easily like blocked off via smokes and other utility areas too. So if you can have 2 of them already primed up in position there, it's just going to add to the effectiveness of the CT side.
I think this is just going to be another SmackDown, though.
I mean, I agree. Just making conversation.
all things said, all things considered.
We can't be that biased, Moses. We have to make the matches sound interesting.
Listen, it's not a matter. It's not a matter of bias when it's realistic.
There you go. True facts, I suppose.
I'm just ready to. What's the next matches we have? Later today, the last 2. It's Liquid versus Optic.
With
okay,
Tarek.
with Tarek. So Tarek stepping in the last match. That'll be cool to see. That's interesting. Yeah, those will be the last 2 matches, and then we have another long day tomorrow as well. Six maps against tomorrow.
And we're going to see Selfless play the Immortals there. Trying to think who else off the top of my head.
Just another SmackDown, huh?
Sounds like it.
Poor Ryu. Just got to sit in the studio and watch.
Not even coaching anymore. I can't even get in game.
Yeah, that was the big discussion they had today, was whether he was going to be on the desk, obviously, for the game, which he was, because he is a coach that was very involved in their matches and in terms of calling and in terms of helping them out round to round. They made the decision that since he's not going to be able to do it moving forward, you know, why would he continue to do it now? Better to get it started adjusting to the new style sooner. So he stepped away. That's pretty interesting to think about. I think most other teams still have their coaches joining the servers and everything, though, with them.
Yeah, I still feel like there's going to be a plan to fight this, I feel like a lot of players and teams aren't really accepting this change just yet. So might be a bit of a interesting period when all of a sudden it is like thrust upon them at one LAN event, and they're like, well, we probably should have prepared for this.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Then yeah, like, well, I mean, what is it? Also, Liquid Peacemaker was still in the servers when we saw them the other day, and I mean that was kind of an interesting thing as well, because Hiko is one of those people who was very open, and he came out and he said that he felt like a lot of his teammates were having egos, and that's why they were kind of struggling a little bit. I don't know if it's quite. I mean, you got to trust him to a certain degree, but I think a lot of their issues just seem to be more with players being a little bit rusty and not being as well polished and well ready for the professional matches. But either way, forget about that. We'll talk about it later. Now we have the match going live. Immortals and compLexity on Cash into the pistol. And again, with Immortals, 4 players on the CT side with utility, 3 nades, Lucas, Henny, and Bolts.
They are going to press out for mid control. Drake with Def leading it. However, Henny says no to that. Immediately denies him as he attempts to get control here. They're also going to be boosting Bolts up into Shroud position here too. Phelps is going to be trying to recover from this one, but he actually spots Whitmer, and yeah, Bolts is there to finish it off. Now they're going to flood out of the area back over here by Squeaky, but look at Bolts just handling it like a champ. Him and Phelps, the members of Cole, are so confused right now since it's so chaotic, but Immortals ultimately has just a huge angle advantage. Android's trying to hold off here. He grabs one more kill, but Lucas will move in very fast to trade that out from Z.
Absolutely bodied in that round. That's sick stuff. And I mean, that boost, this right here, this timing just works out so well. If they start streaming out a little bit earlier where Bolts isn't quite up there, maybe they have that success. So maybe just the difference of a couple seconds is what it takes to be a complete wipeout or an opportunity for compLexity to get a couple free kills.
Again now will push their way over inside of A main and also be wrapping around here too, but it is looking like a very straightforward execute from these guys. Not going to waste any time with trying to go for it. And Phelps, depending on the way he presses this one too, could rack up a few kills himself. The smoke does allow him to sneak in without being spotted. Looking for Uber. Now Colt does try to spot this, but unfortunately they cannot respond to it very well at all. Phelps at the moment here picks up that first kill and then backs out without taking a single health point of damage here. Bolt's even moving in to try and assist with this one too. Unfortunately, he's going to go down before finding anything. Massive damage on both Surreal and Android, however. Phelps is trying to hide inside, leaps out, but that doesn't actually work. Def shuts it down, and now Henny has arrived to do some work with the scout.
Immortals being a little bit loose with how they're playing and how aggressive they want to be. So Lucas is going to be on a big flank around towards Squeaky Door. So all Zeus and Henny have to do is be patient here. Make sure no one pushes up on him. Make sure no one gets him punished. All the while, Lucas, he's about to peek. The door's already open, so he's not going to make any noise. He's going to peek right over towards Forklift. There's Def with one more kill, but Whitmer goes down 2-on-2. And Henny chiming in. Death, meanwhile, has made his way back towards A main. If he can isolate this kill, that'd be huge. He's got Lucas out in the open. The bomb's not planted for him, so it might not even matter to begin with, as Henny with the kit just sticks it. Good damage dealt, 3 kills, a plant. Was a full investment, but that's not too bad for their second round.
It is going to force a lot of reinvestment here from the Immortals, but compLexity bouncing off of that last round are still not going to have enough cash to justify going for a full buy again to try and break them. After doing all that much damage, they just go into another upgraded round, and it will be trying to do as much damage as possible against the Immortals here. Last one didn't go so badly, so repeating the buy again for the most part after finding the additional plant money.
Ooh, there's an opportunity for a 1D. Doesn't quite land it. Phelps is now rotated over as well. Oh, there it is. Phelps picks in a second one. That is sick. Android opens everything up. 5-on-3 now. Zeus has been aggressive, trying to do some damage back to compLexity. Not happening just yet, but what an advantage that has been provided.
We're now down at 1 HP after this one. And Zeus, however, the intuition there just leaps in, spots Surreal in the corner and takes him down. Bolt's looking for more from the back, but is instead going to toss the Molotov down on top of the site. Can't grab anything else. Def also still hunting for some frags with the Deagle here too, but most of them are just stuck at the moment back on quad. They boosted. Lucas reads that like a book, however. Down goes Def. Android and Whitmer, the final two left alive, and this nade may just finish off Whitmer. Actually, apologies, Android, but regardless, 2 to 3 HP left between these guys. Whitmer tries to hold. It's not going to work. Android, the last one in a 1v2. Looks exactly like the last round, except, however, Android finds this kill. He's got smoke coverage, too. 4 kills. This would be an ace from him in a clutch with 2 HP, but Zeus is playing this smart. Taps the bomb. Still no peek from Android. He's reading this properly. He's going to try to go for the press. Can he get this kill? And he can actually do it with 2 HP. 2 of the 5 remaining frags. We're done with that 2 HP. It's an ace from Android, and an absolutely monster play to put compLexity on the board on an eco.
That's actually incredible. These 2 shots here, everyone watching this is just like, God, I wish my Deagle worked like that. But what an incredible round from him, and then just even close it out with 2 HP and a 1-on-2. That is sick. That's a massive play that it also breaks Immortals based off the damage as well in the second round. This now forces them onto pistols, so compLexity, they get on the board early, and they have a chance to grab the reins of this match. Def is going to drop out of vents. That's a nice shot out to Lucas. All of a sudden, the B bomb site is open very, very quickly.
And immediately this round is almost entirely over with the Immortals just going for a full save on this one. They're going to try to move in here and basically overwhelm any players that would be in checkers. They succeed on that. Phelps grabs the kill on Surreal, but is not able to retrieve an additional gun. And ultimately just falls back outside now where looks like Bolts and Phelps are going to try to push in, but it's 1 by 1. Wouldn't be easy pickings. There we go. Android corrects his aim a bit there, and a 1-tap to close out on Bolts.
And the buy coming out. Phelps has already snapped off a FAMAS utility armor. The M4s come out onto Henny and Bolts. Zeus and Lucas are going to follow suit. So no AWPs, obviously. This is a pretty aggressive buy for Immortals. But on top of that as well, no kits. Good utility overall, though, considering 5 smokes, 1 Molotov, some flashbangs to use as well. Setting up in a pretty standard 2-1-2 setup. Henny's going to be watching mid. Zeus and Lucas working together over at the B bomb site. And this is looking like it's going to be a split towards the B site. Smokes are set up. There's Henny, though. That's the bomb as well. He peers around the smoke. Def has dropped down. He's the next one up, but he's all alone. Uber is just watching for any kind of A aggression. So for the moment, Def has just got to hold the fort. And Henny's completely given up control. He just falls away with that 1 kill.
The rest of compLexity now going to be trying to look for a way into the B bomb site. Zeus and Lucas trying to hold this off now as the press comes in from compLexity. And rotations are also pretty far off here. The smoke on top of Lucas to prevent him from being moved out from that position, and Zeus trying to push this as well. Not even going to find Surreal there, but Lucas helping out a bit, finds Uber, and there we go. The rest of the shutdown comes in. A great hold from the Immortals, and they'll find their 3rd round.
That's really nicely done. A good hold as the smokes come in, as the Molotovs come in. I mean, even the bomb site is just pre-smoked by Lucas, just waiting for that molly, and Zeus biding his time. A good setup from the 2 of them. Juggling aggression, each getting 2 kills. So compLexity get immediately responded upon. 2 to 3. This time, though, they have an op on Surreal. It's a glass cannon. He has no armor. They have 3 Molotovs. They just used a smoke, and that is a little bit of curious smoke.
Jump up on top, compLexity going for fast mid control once more. Immortals are actually here to prevent this, as we can see Henny jumping up, trying to go for the quick kill to swipe away at one of the members of compLexity, but he can't find it. And again, he's going to play a bit more passively now. Waits for the flash support. It's perfect, but Def gets the frag anyway, despite the fact that he's completely blind.
Yeah, had the angle just in that corner, waiting for that peek, and unfortunately, Henny just walks right into it. Def now with the Molotov. He's been brought very low. He's got 24 HP. He's going to stick around. He's still going to try and prod up to the same bomb site, see if he can find any kind of information. He's got to be a little bit careful. Zeus, meanwhile, has rotated away from the B bomb site. They've left Lucas in checkers. He's behind that box. So with a man disadvantage, they want to be able to cheat a teammate over towards A, over towards mid, so that Phelps and Bolts can stay at the bomb site. They've got Def wrapping up behind him, though. There's the peek for information, and Phelps perhaps finds too much. Bolts is the last one left of this A site. Zeus is going to be here quickly, but Bolts is doing all the work. So many players low. Def and Uber, just 1 bullet and they're gone. Zeus being very patient. That flashbang, though, is really unfortunate for Zeus in the round for Immortals.
It allows Uber to get onto the bomb site. Plant's going to go onto the ground. Zeus even kind of considering his ability to peek back out now. He's waiting for Lucas to move in on the rotation, but even here, unfortunately, Lucas doesn't have the best angle. Android again shuts out a 1v1, but there's a good frag from Zeus. He's now down at 13 HP, however. But the 2 remaining members from compLexity are also rather low as well. He's going to press forward. Does he expect Uber around the corner, though? No, he does not. It's a close shutdown. But compLexity still wins it in the end, keeping this game in itself very close at 3 rounds to either team.
Some nice kills, but a lot of those fights that were taken by both teams, I mean, compLexity, 3 players brought down to 20, so, you know, just a couple fights go the way of Immortals instead. That round's entirely different. Either way, they're back onto the save, so this is much, much better than we saw on Train. compLexity is actually fighting back in this run. They're actually keeping control of their economy as well. So a good start to this opening half.
compLexity going to be moving very decisively through the B halls up to the site now. Just keeping Whitmer in the back to watch for a rotation, and Lucas holding close. They're going to be broken now on the Immortals side, but they've already been able to impact on eco rounds previously. Let's see if they can do it again, or if this is just going to be another wash away for compLexity. Following it up with movements into checkers. Immortals actually have a very good setup for this. They've got the read on it, but there's the first kill for them. Def follows it up with a fast second one against Lucas. Site control is already theirs. They were able to hold off with a few trades. There might have been a possibility for some more pickups here, but it looks like it is just going to be a fast round for compLexity now.
I'm wondering if this next gun round from Immortals we're going to see a different setup. Maybe a little bit more presence in mid, because for a couple rounds now, Henny's been the only player there. Seems to be their kind of default defensive setup. But compLexity's putting pretty good emphasis, throwing 2 players, 3 players at it sometimes, so take it over before deciding where exactly they want to go on the map. And if Immortals just adds a player there to help out Henny, that allows him to be a little bit more aggressive. It allows him to actually fight for that kind of control to try and prevent compLexity from taking it. And that would be a huge force if they were able to push back and get some of the kills and just weaken this offense.
So does compLexity finally find some footing here on Cash now? We'll have to see if that remains a consistent factor, or if now with the Immortals finally getting another bye for themselves, they can immediately crush this and keep this game as close as it appears to be. Now, the problem is with the rounds trading back and forth, it still favors compLexity in the long run due to the economical issues that the CTs will suffer from.
And here's the switch up. Not only Henny with the AWP, but also Zeus getting boosted in Vent. We hadn't seen that yet, so that allows him to have some kind of support. Unfortunately for Immortals, compLexity is going over towards the A site. Phelps and Bolts is playing it very, very passively. But Zeus, either way, with his control of mid from Vents, he'll be able to rotate very quickly. And the fire is going to prevent Phelps from falling back. He's just got to take that fight, and he loses it. Again, though, Whitmer and Uber down so incredibly low, just barely losing on these fights are the Immortals players. Surreal is brought low as well. There's the off, finally chiming in, getting the kill. HE grenade finishes off the planter. Whitmer's gone, so now they force their way in, and Def is completely blind. This is an aggressive retake from Immortals, and they shut down this hit on the A-bomb site.
Good recovery after it seemed like compLexity were primed to take full control of that one, but their utility usage was on point. compLexity also, again, taking a lot of damage very early on in the round. A lot of kills, which essentially have gone through 75% of the way, but just have not been completed. With Henny and the rest of them moving in so aggressively for that retake, compLexity never even finding good post-plant positions. So again, we'll be tied up at 4 rounds. Immortals go back into another full buy this time, but compLexity still have money as well. So we go into yet another gun round, and Zeus is going to be challenged very early on here in this little mini pit over here. More players are pushing him, but nobody's checked him yet. He doesn't even need to fire off. Phelps, Henny, and Henny again! Should have got Whitmer and Surreal. Def's also fallen in the process here. Android tries to change their team's luck, but not going to work out. Lucas finding a pickup, and all that's left is Uber. What happened on this hit?
It honestly, God, it just felt like Immortals just flipped the switch, and they're like, all right, we're just going to win every fight now. And this is that mid-presence. I mean, look at what they have there at the moment. Once they shut that down, it's just, you know, the compLexity, everything they've done to get their 4 wins just goes away. They've had success off getting mid-control first, and this time Immortals just denies it. And everyone falls after that. Only 1 player dies, Zeus for Immortals. And back onto pistols for compLexity, so Immortals take control of the economy again. They take it right back out of the hands of Cole.
And finally, it is going to be enough here to break compLexity at the very least. We've been going back and forth now for 5 or 6 rounds, and it looks like compLexity have kind of run out of cash here, with Immortals finally being able to string 2 together. Just default pistols for most of their players and P250s, as it felt like having a little bit of an extra push.
No utility, though. I mean, this is now... It looks like Zeus is going to get boosted up into the vents again. And there's no flash. If compLexity wants to go through the smoke, they can't really do it. They now know Lucas is in checkers. He's just firing through. Any of these bullets could connect, and there's one right through the edge of the box. Zeus is there for backup as well. Clothesline Surreal. And these two should be able to handle it from here, although Zeus does fall out of the vents and eventually fall to the hands of Android, but it's easy. That's not a big deal. All 5 gone, 6-4.
And again, compLexity is basically throwing themselves at the B-bomb site, hoping it would stick, and it doesn't really work out so well. So the Immortals continue to climb forward here. The money's building up now, which is great for them. After this really rocky start, they're developing a good foundation. However, a chance for it all to come crumbling down is right here on the 11th round. compLexity with another buy round. We've already seen how close these have been. And if they do readjust their strat to make up for the mistakes made on the last one, they may have another chance to kind of try and retie this as quickly as possible.
Zeus now outside the vents. Henny is there as well. So this has become pretty consistent for them as Zeus and Henny working together to guard mid. Lucas alone at the B bomb site, and look at compLexity. Look how far back they are. Def and Android are the only ones close to pressuring anything. They're going to have the opportunity to pressure over towards that B site. But Phelps has control of A main. And there goes Def. That smoke, I think Lucas maybe spotted him over it, or there might be a gap in it a little bit, but either way, he gets spammed right through. Early kill for Lucas. And now compLexity has a decision to make because they've gained no control of this map. They've been so passive watching for any kind of aggression that they have nothing. They're going to set up a wall of smokes out mid, try and turn this into a mid-B split, but the B bomb site portion of it is just gone. So they're going to try and go right through the smoke. Henny misses a shot, but nice recovery. Can't get any more done, unfortunately. Uber does eventually find him, but they know exactly where the attack is coming, and they can adjust perfectly for it. Even have time to salvage that AWP. Zeus is going to pick it up for his fallen teammates, but 7-4. Immortals, it looks like all the fun is gone for compLexity.
And compLexity going right back to some of their old problems here. Unfortunately, the confidence factor going away. Now we're starting to see a lot of mistakes made in these 1v1s, which is just handing them over to the Immortals time after time again. They're going to get a big edge because of that one. Now ahead by 3 and on to another round for compLexity where it's a fairly minimal investment, just Tech 9 armor buys, and it's pretty direct too. Bomb held back a little bit, but they still have 4 players already pushing their way towards the A bomb site.
Phelps, this is aggressive. They only have pistols, and there's bolts to at least bail them out. They set up a decent crossfire, although they could have just ended up shooting each other.
They're hunting a plant and Uber. They actually are probably going to get it too, as Uber
Yeah,
does
it's not bad.
this late push. So again, managing to grab that at the least, but
That
now he's
is-
going to hold off 4.
That is the Warden 4-1 specialty. He's known for that tactic and all the pugs and 10-mans that he's been in over the years, dating back to even just 1.6. I think his team, even compLexity, have done that. You know, the compLexity of years back in 1.6 that was competing with the best in the world. That was something they even pulled off in some of their big matches and majors. Just a little, you know, fun fact.
Yeah.
If there's ever a Counter-Strike trivia and that pops up, then yeah, you guys will have the answer that's needed. Just make it in the form of a question. What is the Warden 4-1?
So compLexity needing to try and find some ground to work with here. It's not looking great. This was looking like a good start to the map for them. Strategies were looking great. Fragging power was coming out mainly through Android's hands. We were seeing some of it from their other players as well, but all this has faded away now. They're going to try to go for another fast execute onto the A-bomb site. Immortals is already expecting heavy pressure here, though, as they were held off the site initially. Now they're going to reapply to hold better positions. There's already one from Bolts moving in. Uber does trade this out. Phelps, though, lining him up, grabs 2, tries to transfer onto a 3rd. That's not going to work as Uber does take him down. But Luke is now chiming in back over there from the highway air. However, Uber, picking up an additional frag, brings us into a 1v2. Can try and guarantee the plan again at the very least, but still a long road to win this entire round.
Well, Henny's just got him locked into the bomb site as well. He's just the zoned in on the right side of the site, so Uber can't really retreat. He's got to stay within the confines of the plant zone, and he's trying to find this one-on-one. And this is not a bad play because it at least gives the angle where he's protected from the off. There it is. Finds Bolts. Not too bad. Henny switches over to the M4. Sees him jump into quad as well. So the Molotov, again, restricting where Uber can go. And he instead, I mean, okay. Well, yeah, should have restricted where he could go. But he runs right through it, makes it a little bit easy on Henny, so it's going to be a 9th round.
Trying to get out the other direction to avoid being sprayed down, but, well, ends up being sprayed down anyway, so it doesn't really work out too well. And there's Phelps again, starting things off. Starts the decline, I guess you could say.
I mean, that defense in the IC, that's really, really cool. I mean, Phelps obviously getting a double kill and a triple is awesome, but even just holding him off the site for that long, because once Henny starts rotating and starts giving attention, once players start coming up through truck, you can see they're just bombing flashbangs into the top of the site. They don't care at that point if they blind their teammates, as long as it slows down the actual hit, slows down the opponents from taking... That smoke has got to be for something.
For what, though?
I'm not sure.
That's the...
We'll figure it out. Def.
It's not doing anything right now.
I guess it might be that maybe they just mess it up. It's supposed to land on top of that boost where it can extinguish Molotov. Some good opping from Def, though. Does find Phelps. That's a big-time player to be out. Henny, he's stopped challenging as well. He's just holding the lower portion of mid, which is going to allow Def the confidence to just swing up, peek into vents. He's trying to bait Henny into a wide peek, but Henny's being very disciplined about this.
Not going to be giving it to him anytime soon here. Def may have to rejoin his team, but they're still holding back. They got plenty of time to work with, especially after finding this additional frag. It's now split the remaining defenses 2 for 2 across the map. Technically 2-1, as they have Lucas committed much more heavily into the B bomb site itself. with Henny still kind of watching out from Z here. He's mainly focused on a push from the garage area. So with him having that to focus on, no reason to peek out to the boost area anytime soon. Now slowly starting to fall away from this one, and again, the rest of compLexity also looking to move back over towards the A main area to regroup and make this hit.
They've got a pretty decent advantage in this round. I mean, Immortals, again, they leave Lucas over in checkers behind the box so they can have 2 players at A. Henny's just going to go peek over to just support him really quickly, but there's not a lot of utility. Henny has a Molotov and a flash. Lucas has a flashbang. Bolts and Zeus are at the A bomb site. Neither of them have any utility to hold this off. They've got to dodge everything, and that one flashbang on a Bolts is not going to be the answer. Zeus finds a kill, but they now know where he is. They're going to swing on him. That's an easy kill. And the defense, the rotation is so far away. Def's still on the boost box, waiting for someone to try and rotate through mid.
And now, with compLexity up 4-2 here, is Immortals even really going to attempt to take this since they're outmanned at this point, and they have no position for the retake itself, but they're moving up towards the truck area. Again, no commitment just yet. They're starting to peek it now to see what they can find, and at the moment, it's nothing. One of them are stuck around the corner. Uber's already taken down Lucas. Nice shot from Henny, and he follows up with a second even. However, he wasn't meant to eventually go down, and that will come at the hands of Android.
Yeah, no big loss as well. There's plenty of money built up for the last round of the half for Immortals. So who cares if they end up losing those weapons, because Lucas is just going to get an auto. Henny's going to get back onto that AWP, and they have full utility. Actually, Zeus is a little bit light. But other than that, full utility.
Immortals have also gone for the auto sniper investment this time on Lucas, so we will see what kind of impact he's able to have with this one, as he's not even really going to place it in mid or anything. He's just going to be playing it in the B bomb site, so it may be a non-factor depending on how the actual take goes for compLexity. Again, still favoring the approach towards the A bomb site. It looks like they're already shifting inside of there to get ready to push it.
Yeah, Def is he's back on the boost as well. Just zoned in. Worry had success last round, but Immortals this time isn't going to challenge him whatsoever. They're going to let him sit up there, and they know Henny with the AWP. He's just looking towards lower. He's going to let him be up top as well. Although now he peeks. That's perfect timing. He gets the leg. That's really unfortunate. Def has got to feel very frustrated as you can see him wiggle his mouse just because of the unfortunate timing. He was probably waiting for that peek for so long, and then finally when he looks away, it comes. Pre-fires at least for the jumping. That's not shabby. That nade, though, it's going to do decent damage. The Molotov as well at the door. That's going to hold Surreal back. Molotov to get into the site. Great teamwork by Immortals. They've slowed down the hit. Here's the peek. Bolts was incredibly low, and now it's Phelps again. Although he's getting spammed. He's getting held into the bomb site. And that's awkward timing for the peak. Finally, Henny is here.
Henny finding that first shot there through the smoke against Uber. Now Zeus moving in to make up for this one. He's got a couple players lined up, and in fact, he grabs them both at the same time. Henny helping out with the second one there. They're focusing on the plant now as they know that the odds are stacked against them, with Zeus even tagging down another one. Whitmer, the last one alive, and he's not going to grab anything. Henny finishes it off, and he grabs 3 kills on this retake for the Immortals. Big impactor to even allow them to get back into the site was looking a bit drastic there.
Yeah, and it was a decent start to the half for compLexity, but Immortals take control of it, and we'll be back for the second half in just a moment.
He's going to get the one kill in that bomb coming down to the side. FNX has to stay up. No! He gets the triple FNX! Oh my god, what a way to win that round! They don't have a smoke, so this over still.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, Mountain Dew, and ESEA.
We're finally starting to see some good stuff out of compLexity there at the beginning of the first half, and an absolutely monstrous play from Android with a 2 HP Beagle clutch 1v2. Unfortunately, it all fell by the wayside as we got towards the middle and ending portions of the first half.
Well, I mean, those are the plays you can't rely on for the success of a half, right? Because, I mean, off the back of that, they got, what, an extra 3 rounds? And I think, so they won 4 total there, and then they got 1 more round in the last, whatever, 6, 7 rounds. I mean, Immortals took complete control, and compLexity didn't have any other kind of tactic to fall back on. So once Immortals kind of got in that zone, nowhere compLexity could go.
And it seemed like, as well, once Immortals kind of got over that issue there, I think you said it pretty well, they flicked the switch and were winning about 90% of the fights. There was still some good takes from compLexity. It was just never really able to get that control, and it seemed like while they were good at kind of posting up for aggression to get into the bomb sites, once they had sight, they didn't really want to try to do anything else. So Immortals were free reign to just line up their own retakes and execute them.
I think this is where we're really going to see a tough time for compLexity. One of the areas in which they struggled on train on that CT side is figuring out where they wanted to rotate to. They had a couple rounds where they kind of, had the wrong information or the wrong read and just went to the complete other bomb site. This is another map as well where rotations are very critical. And we saw a couple times Immortals is able to use those to their advantage. Knowing they had Lucas hidden in checkers, they could rotate an extra player over towards the ace site. If compLexity doesn't have those similar kind of reads or the similar willingness to gamble on some of those rotates, this could be a very, very tough half.
And I mean, obviously, again, there too, with the scoreline already being what it is, they're not even really going to be able to go for those Season 1 at their box up from the side. They're just going to be these last moment rehashed attempts at taking in like 2-on-4 situations, which is more likely going to end up failing. And I mean, with the scoreline already being it is, if we don't see the pistol round under control for compLexity, then it could be a very fast half again, just like we had in the last map.
Yeah, a lot of ways that Immortals can actually just close this out. I mean, also on the T side with the defense being a little bit more expensive, compLexity. If one thing they've struggled with this entire series, these both maps was keeping control of their money, and they did an okay job of it in the beginning of that first half, but it really slipped away from them. So on the CT side, that's going to be even more critical, even more important. And Immortals can do that. They have some rounds to play with. Obviously, if you go for the pick tactics, they're going to be much more organized in terms of where they're applying pressure to force rotations to get those picks. So a lot of things that Immortals can do.
The Immortals as well here, another big question that I asked at the beginning of the match too is, are we going to see like that crazy aggressive T side that we saw back over on train? Are they just going to go right in this to not give them any room to think or really apply their CT strats? And that's where I think a lot of those saves came in, is that we were seeing such fast-paced strats from the Immortal side to just push directly into the bomb sites and just absolutely destroy compLexity and not even give them a chance to call that out properly or react properly by rotating. So we'll find that out right now, because they started that off on train with their pistol round, and we're going to get into it right here. They invest a lot of utility, and at the moment it looks like they are sending their players to more of a default lineup, but we'll see if it's followed into a site fast enough.
And aggression from compLexity. They push 2 in through door. Surreal and Uber. Def is also there in quad to block things off. Uber's going to have a little bit of attention. They know he's there. And Henny's an A main, so he has the opportunity if he wanted to. He's holding the crack to see if they're falling out, but I don't think they realize there's 2 in door. He's just looking to hold off 1. So this could still catch Immortals off guard, but the tough part is Phelps is working his way up highway. He's been spotted. There's a nice shot from Def. Drops Lucas. Bolts is lurking over towards the B bomb site, but meanwhile this A hit comes in. Def is the last one left, and he can't get anything else. Henny grabs 2, but this is the trick play. 1 more in door, and Uber surprises Phelps.
It's going to close it up for now, too, waiting for the rotation to move in from the B-bomb side. Android even getting some more frag power here, too, as he brings one of them down very low, just a 39 HP. Zeus lone, Android tagging down another player. Zeus to the last one, tucked away in the expected spot, and Whitmer is immediately going to punish that. So compLexity, again, just like the last map, win the second half pistol round and get to keep their hopes alive for a comeback.
Yeah, Uber plays that so smartly. With 2 players in that door, he knows his teammate falls, and it's a full-blown, it's one of the areas where it's smart to bait your teammate. Just let him die. Don't try and support him. Don't give away you're there. And he just assassinates. He just pounces at the best time possible to whittle it down. And on top of that, he keeps the last 2 Immortals players inside the site. So when the retake comes in, they know exactly where everyone is.
Immortals players, again, splitting themselves up and not really investing too heavily into the second round. They will be focusing on the third round setup, as they do go for the boost play here, too. Henny's going to be checking that, but Surreal, all right. Just spots one of them there inside through the smoke. Gets some early damage on the Phelps, times it perfectly, and brings him down to 77. Not only this, too, but it's not able to stop the players from boosting over, but now they're going to know that the play favors this kind of push, so unfortunately, Immortals will not be getting very far after their attempts to sneak through middle here. It looks like it is a complete shutdown from compLexity. Already just leaving Zeus and Henny alive, and scratch that. They're both dead too.
I think Immortals just tried that same idea. 4 players towards one side of the map, 4 players just aggressive, and hope that someone over-rotates, or if you get the kills to force that rotate, the 1 player can plant. Doesn't work out. And with the plant in the pistol round, the third round buy comes out because they upgraded pistols, but they didn't invest a whole lot into that last round. So 3 AK-47s, Galil onto Henny, Bolts just on a Tech 9. This is going to be the buy that Immortals brings into this round. They have decent utility as well. 2 smokes, 2 Molotovs to work with. And it's going to be a very dedicated B hit, and they don't know this, but they need to speed this up pretty soon because it looks like Def and Uber are going to do some kind of a reverse boost. The intel is going to be there, and Immortals is now starting to pressure through these smokes.
Moving in very fast to the site, and Android's still out in the open here too. He's waiting for something to try and crawl back over here, but he does get himself behind coverage. However, some of the other ones are not going to be able to do this, but Android striking first. Uber follows it up. Lucas and Phelps, though, trade out 2 more, but Whitmer finding a third against the members of the Immortals. Now, not only this too, but Def is going to strike from behind here. Back up inside of the vents, leaves Henny all on his lonesome. In a 1v3, he will be able to retrieve the bomb and get back up onto the site, but I think now I'm going to try and focus on the plant. Just checking it first here, and then committing to it the second time, but this will allow them to swarm back in. He finds the plant. Now a lot of work to be done to actually try and clutch this out. Surreal moves out first, tries to spray down, but this times it with that. Surreal is going to go for a fast closeout, and this will be an 8th round for compLexity.
Yeah, maybe a little bit unfortunate for Immortals that the compLexity defense that was called was that heavy mid, 2 players in mid, so they could get very quickly into vents, and even when they kill one, again, much like the pistol round, Immortals just had no idea there was going to be a second body coming that way. It's a little bit unexpected, so they get stumped again. As defense starting off very, very strong for compLexity, 3 straight, and they have Immortals on another save round where it's just going to be pistols. No armor's bottomed up. They do have a Deagle on Lucas, P250, Tech 9 onto Phelps, so a little bit of upgraded power, but overall, compLexity should be able to handle it. It's nothing fast-paced from the Immortal side. Playing behind the smoke, Def and Uber once again getting very, very close up, and this is risky. They're going to meet right into the Terra side boost as well, so everyone's going to meet on top of it, but there's Uber with the weapon, with the rifle. He gets 1, can't get the second one. Phelps trades out, and a third. Or Phelps a second, 3 kills for the team overall, and it's down to a 2-on-2, and they're split across the map. This is actually advantage Immortals.
Immortals with mid control, now going to decide where they go. Here's the problem, though, is they're going to walk right into Whitmer. Down goes the bomb. Phelps still going to try to turn this around, but Whitmer will just play with him here, baiting out time so Surreal can rotate properly. Phelps knows this, though. He's going to try to take this over to the A-bomb site instead, making sure, of course, that Surreal does not push him from Z. And try and correspond to that. Phelps will try to push into Z, oof, bringing him down very low to 13 HP. Could have ended the round itself, but Phelps will survive with 70 on his own. But no armor, still armed with an AK. He needs to make sure that he absolutely outflanks these players. And he's got 50 seconds to play with, so plenty of time to do this. He will eventually have to decide on a site, though, and it's going back to B right now. Vents are already open. Won't make a lot of noise jumping in. He's going to hunt down this first frag against Whitmer, though, and he again almost grabs it. Brings both these guys so low. He is tagged down to 38 as well here, and that flashbang won't connect. He's waiting for the push from Heaven. He won't find it. Now hiding in the mini pit. That's going to be out of range for Surreal to spot this when he peeks around the corner. But this is such a tense moment now for Phelps as he has to try and hunt down these final 2 kills. Creeping around the corner, looking for Whitmer right now, and this is the first big test. He finds that one, looking for the follow-up, but he's checking Heaven. 16 seconds to get the bomb on the ground. Is he going to spot the peek from below? And he will not, so Surreal will win this one for compLexity, but how close and how amazing of a clutch that would have been from Phelps.
Yeah, this is why it's a little bit of a nightmare. Once that player boosted up, falls Def, it doesn't have anywhere to fall back to in mid quick enough, so those pistols just overrun him. I think Phelps at the end there, since he caused so much damage to Surreal with that op in mid, he was thinking that the rotation would be Surreal towards Car to watch up towards A, and the B player would rotate towards mid to watch his back. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. Mid take from Immortals, and actually it looks like it's going to be aggression at the A bomb site again from compLexity, trying to take the fight to Immortals, and they're just going to boost up. 3 players there. Going to get Def on top, and they can fall away, but Immortals does have mid control due to the amount of bodies that are at A for compLexity. Henny's pushed up. Phelps has control of vents. compLexity's got to be honest to that. That's a nice pick, though. Surreal and Quad finds Henny at long range.
Now for the Immortals, we'll be on duty to try and make up for this loss early on in the round. Lucas getting ready to peek out with his teammate here, but Surreal at the same time, still armed with the op, ready to punish these players if he's not flashbanged or something else to try and suppress this and actually allow the Immortals to press up from that area. compLexity still has so much free movement around this map. You have Android pressed up to the boxes outside. He knows there isn't any presence even close to the B site at this point. They have Phelps put it outside of the vents, but for now he's really of no trouble to anybody on compLexity. And at the moment, it's just a guessing game for the Immortals, hoping to find one more frag to trade this out and then try to find their way into a site. Phelps is dropped down from the vents. He's now trapped here, though. Stuck between 2 players on this site, and again, didn't spot Android, so we get that first kill for free.
Lucas is going to drop down on this. Takes him a little bit to get this kill. Does eventually find Android. Spam comes through. For the moment, it's only Whitmer in this B bomb site, though. They have a 3-on-1 here. Uber's going to go up above, but can he get there in time? Molotov is going to block out that side, but it doesn't matter. His teammate has fallen. Uber up top, doesn't want to commit to a fight. He knows if he falls here, it's a massive disadvantage. It's still going to be a tough time for his teammates. They have 2 Molotovs in this retake. It's a 3-on-3. And pretty decent positioning from Immortals. Lucas is going to be in the pit. Zeus in the sight, and Bolt's right underneath the overhang. And there's a nice shot from Lucas. One more up top comes in. He spots it out. He does lose that fight. What is Surreal going to peek? He's going to start moving in right now to coordinate things. And there it is. There's that 1 kill. Zeus is the last one left, 20 HP. He doesn't want to take this fight. He's trying to bide his time. See the other one, but he's got to take it, and falling down, Def wins. They tie it all up in a nice retake.
With this, Def is going to have enough time to find the defuse, so will indeed be tied up now. Zeus with a nice attempt to try and clutch it again, but for Def, the drop-down kill proves too much here. You can see Henny trying to go for the aggressive peek on a Surreal, but the favor is traded back onto him. Nice shot from Lucas, but fails to follow up, and from this point forward, everything just falls apart for the Immortals.
Yeah, Zeus is trying to hold off on that second-to-last kill for taking that shot, to wait and see if the other player is going to reveal himself. Because once he takes that shot, his position is known. That's maybe the one thing that Immortals didn't do in that round. They had the plant for checkers and B main, but they didn't actually get anyone out there. So everyone was very exposed. Once their spot is found, they have to take the fights. Uber here right underneath. He gets 2. That's a nice transfer down. And Immortals starting to look a little bit lost on this T side. They've lost so many opening duels in these past few rounds. compLexity has caught up in the scoreline with an advantage, a man advantage, to take the lead.
The Immortals now trying to make up for this by going into the B bomb site, but they need the support of Lucas moving in through the vents, and he's a bit slow to take that control of mid because of the earlier fight that happened here. Mar Uber upset against them. Bolts, though, is wasting no time trying to sneak in. He's looking for Whitmer here initially, but Whitmer's ducked below, looking for the headshot, but he cannot find it. Whitmer wins another duel. They have Zeus positioned in the mini pit still, but unfortunately he'll be outmatched 2v1 regardless of where the push will come from.
He could use the smoke, Android smoke, that's thrown at the front of the site to use cover to try and get up on Whitmer. Oh, the timing. Is he going to stand up at all? I think Whitmer believes it's going to go back towards that A site. The smoke has now faded in the front of B. Lucas is out mid. No one has peeked that, and Zeus is waiting. Oh, and that's a little unfortunate. He thought Android was going to commit out towards this peak. The nade's going to come out, but he's got to be careful from up top. That's Whitmer. Nice job rotating over to support your team, and Lucas is locked out. It's a 1-on-4. Flashbang comes out. He's going to take that fight, but he can't win it. A good round from Whitmer. 3 kills for him.
compLexity now has taken the lead against the Immortals here, and not only this, but going into this next round, depending on how they want to play this, it could put them right into another save here now. Just taking a look at it, there's about 4K on average for these players, which should be enough, but you still have also a few below the point where it's going to be at really a good point for them to be able to get the full buy with the AK, you know, utility and all that stuff. So they may decide to just take it on a half buy for 1 more round and then save up for 1 big buy.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't get to plant that round, so it could be. They have the full losing bonus built up, but this is now a very scary situation. They haven't won a single round on this Terra side. And for a team that has a little bit more skill, that even looked untrained, like they just tactically outplayed them, the fact that nothing they have has worked in this half is a little bit worrying. Especially because one of the areas in which they did good on train was those opening fights, winning the opening duels. They're not doing that whatsoever here on this Terra side. So a little bit stumped at the moment. They've got some time still, but compLexity, the big thing is their money is not super great. I mean, Immortals can still reset this with 2 wins. I think if compLexity loses this round, they'd have 1 more buy in it. So we'll have to see what Immortals does. They do buy into it. They don't go for that half buy and save 1 more round. They have 4 AKs. They have good utility, and they have a Tech 9 on Henny. He's the one saving with this losing bonus. If they are to lose this round, he will have an AWP in the next.
For the Immortals here now, a lot on the table as they don't want to try and take a loss against compLexity here this early on in the season. Should be the team that you are able to 2-0 against. And this will be a big boost for compLexity too, taking one of these wins to try and up their record and try and get them a higher position in the overall season ratings here, but still have a long way to go before we have that decision made. And Immortals still playing this so passively now. After so many rounds of them going out into the open and trying to look for these aggressive early kills, now all of a sudden is entirely silent as they sit back and they look to punish aggression from the CT side.
It's not going to happen. And actually, compLexity gave up complete mid control for quite some time. Surreal rotated over towards the B bomb site. Now he's transitioning back, but still they don't have any actual eyes on mid. A lot of faith in Whitmer to just sit in this B bomb site all by himself. Android is now rotated to mid. They have 3 players stacked up at A. So a bit of a gamble. Lucas is out mid. He's at that first highway box, just waiting, listening for information. Phelps is also there to support him, and now we see the bomb and Henny start rotating back towards the B site, so this could turn into a mid to B split. Surreal's going to be smoked off, and he actually cheats over towards the A bomb site, so he has a little bit of a bad read here.
Phelps also waiting to try and push his way inside of the vents. Doesn't want to break it just yet. Henny, almost hit a little bit there as he sprayed down, but gets past it before the spray actually moves in. Now again, 20 seconds on the clock, but there it is. 2 players from compLexity still stuck on this bomb site. Whitman with a good response there does take down one of them. Uber also found a kill a little bit further back into the bomb site. But now they're both stuck together here. Uber tried to boost up on top of his teammate, but they actually catch Bolts trying to press through. Surreal now here with the upshot as well. It's all on Lucas, but he gets nothing done. It's a flawless round from compLexity. And they now go 12-10 against the Immortals by here, and they've got even less money to work with.
Yeah, this is not good for Immortals. This entrance, Zeus is trying to pre-fire underneath the corner of that smoke. It doesn't work out. And even Whitmer here saving his teammate's life. Android's completely blind. Bolts jumps right next to him. Good work from compLexity. And now, I mean, again, as they start to increase their lead, 12-10, they're going up against, you know, a half by there. They're going up against a couple smokes, a flashbang, and mostly Tech-9s and a Deagle. Some armor is bought there, but a very weak arsenal overall for the Immortal side of things. They're not wasting any time, though. This is just going to be a hit onto the A bomb site. That nade, though. 2 nades have softened them up. 1 over the boost box, 1 into A main. What can they actually do here?
It's about 25 to 30% of the health pool's gone on almost every single member of this team. And the spray down, Uber's already grabbed 1. They know that the rest are hiding out here. They can definitely hear the noise by this point. So it's picking time for Uber. Grabs 2, looking for a 3rd. A bit messy in that regard, but Def is here now. All that's left alive is Zeus. Zeus basically just trying to run a race here and hoping he can grab a kill in the process. But Def says no to that one. Shuts it down 13-10. And compLexity seem unstoppable. What does Immortals have to do to win at least 1 round here and try to restore this lead that they seem to have so handily at the end of the first half? Yeah,
the big nightmare they're facing as well is just, you know, as opposed to a couple of rounds ago where I mentioned the economy of the compLexity side, now it's ballooned almost out of control. Surreal, at 8,500, Whitmer's got almost 10,000, Def and Android sitting around 7,500. They can sustain losses and still buy whatever they want. And now they're the ones feeling confident. Look at this mix-up in their strategy. No one at the A bomb site. Def and Uber are going to reverse boost, and Android is also here. Now, this is being watched by Lucas, so the timing for Def is going to be critical.
They do move back as well to retrieve the bomb, so it looks like the members of Immortals here, after a few seconds, will be trying to go for an execute on their strat. Def remaining passive, though, and ducks down. I believe he's been spotted, but Uber was allowed to push in for free into this garage area, so he finds that kill. Def supporting Uber's fall back there, so he's also seen Lucas a little bit further back, and thankfully was able to get out of the way of the bullet. But now, where exactly is Immortals going to go? Because again, they start off the round down a man.
Yeah, that's been the theme of this half. These early kills. Finally, Bolts responds, brings it into a 4-on-4, but immediately after that, that's when Def pounces. He's been up there all around. Gets 1 kill. Uber chimes in onto Zeus as well. Henny's looking for him, but he just can't find him. He could have fallen back to anywhere. That's the other tough part. They don't actually know that he's still on top of this box. Is Bolt's going to check it if he goes out mid? That's the question. Although the timing for Def, or Bolts, however you want to look at it, really unfortunate. And it's a double kill for Def. 3 in the round total. Really nicely done. 14-10. Immortals still looking stumped.
Now we're starting to see that star power show up for compLexity. They've got the confidence building, and it's definitely showing in a lot of these players. Def moving up there, grabbing these frags. We saw Android's amazing clutch at the beginning of this game. Whitmer, as well as Uber as well, are very, very good at holding their own angles here on the CT side. And there's not a whole lot left for the Immortals to try and do here. They've had the full losing bonus for the entire half, essentially, since they've built it up at the beginning. And it's not mattering. They're still not finding plants. The last time they got a plant was 5 rounds ago. They're just looking awful now for the Immortals T side. Yeah,
they haven't really seemed to have a deep playbook on this map, have they? I mean, a lot of the critical rounds where they've gone towards the B bomb site, and that's where it's been shut down by Whitmer and Android. Surreal at least here is forced back, hasn't even fired a shot. Uber, though, this is a little bit tricky. Spots out Henny, but he can't win the battle. It's really, really unfortunate. There's finally a man advantage for the Immortal side. 5-on-4. Phelps spots 1 very, very deep in quad. That's Def. Can't land the shot, but makes it an awkward position, and Bolts is able to punish Whitmer getting aggressive. 4-on-3, this defense is going to have to figure something out. They're very, very spread out at the moment.
But compLexity has a good read on this one. They are starting to shift over towards the A site, which is where Immortals is posturing up to make their hit too. Surreal, armed with the up, has presence aligned to try and stop A main pressure. Smokes are still in the hands of members of Immortals, and in fact, no, they're actually going to be out of smokes now. So this is going to be a dry take attempt as they move in. Thankfully, punishing 1 member of compLexity already. Surreal's not even going to peek out for this one, despite the fact that he hasn't heard anything being tossed into the site yet. Trying to support Android. Again, misreading where the actual site take is going towards. Surreal's going to be pressed back even more with that flashbang.
I don't even think they're going to go for this. Android hasn't budged from this B bomb site, so they're going to be content. They're going to say, all right, Immortals, you finally got one. And they could go for it. They have the money to sustain the losses, but I think they're more thinking, why waste it? Actually, Uber and Surreal are really not sitting too well. So Immortals is going to get their 11th round on the board, but it's their first round of this half. And they've got a long way to go still.
3 more to tie it up, and 5 more to try and just win the map before this goes into OT. And obviously reset is going to be a problem here too for the Immortals, but thankfully it looks like they're all sitting back and trying to play this more passively, focusing on sustaining that money. So in the event we see an immediate round trade for compLexity, they just go right back into another buy regardless.
And this is the question. They haven't really had an op in Henny's hands too frequently in this half, so I mean it's mostly been Surreal having free reign. He's not doing great though. 10 and 17. That's not an impressive scoreline per se, but Uber is the one leading the way for him. Def as well has had some good rounds, and obviously Android playing pretty decent. But this T side from Immortals, they're going to pick up the pace, and Phelps is just going to swing out wide. He's going to force them both back. Nades raining in. The smoke missed a little bit, but Surreal still doesn't want to peek into all that damage, and Bolts takes a lot, and there's Phelps. Whitmer's swinging out to try and help his teammates, and he gets punished for it. So another advantage. And even more, Phelps finds another one. Def is completely blind on Highway. Thankfully, no one peeks it.
Def trying to figure out how exactly he can peek out around the corner here. He spots a player on boost. He hasn't spotted Lucas rounding around the corner, though, back into this little cubby. So he's in for a nasty surprise when he pushes this. And there you go. Walks right into Lucas. Phelps finding another one. All of a sudden, it seems like Immortals have found their steam again. It's all up to Uber here, and they've even found him, too. No kills at all against the members of the Immortals. And we go 14-12 for compLexity, as they're in one of their last rounds where there is going to be a full buy for the entire team. But also, they're going to pause it here just to be safe.
And you can kind of see, like, one of the ways that Immortals has so much success against compLexity is when they get these opening kills, they're so good at, one, exploiting the rotations that are caused by it, but two, punishing any of the information plays that compLexity is going for in the CT side. Any of those pushes, you know, Whitmer getting aggressive, Whitmer trying to peek out to help his teammate, they're ready to pounce and punish that. But for most of this half, they haven't gotten those opening kills to force compLexity into those situations. Now, these past 2 rounds, they have done it. You could see the success rate. I mean, it's now they're closing it up. This is, I think, going to be... No, there's actually still plenty of money on the compLexity side, so they've still got some to burn through, but they're at least showing some promise down the stretch.
Absolutely. You know, a few players are going to run out of money after this round, which is going to cause some donations to have to be tossed over. So after that one, it's going to be looking a bit rough if they have to buy up one more after this one as well. And I mean, that's aligning it right around the 14-14 tie as well, which means if it goes to that, if Immortals just shoot straight through at this point, then in theory, if it's a straight shot for the Immortals after they get past that 14th round, the 15th, it's not going to be the greatest buy at all for compLexity.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it earlier with the Selfless match as well, and we've talked about it. I mean, I know, you know, in previous leagues, tournaments, whatever it might be, the underdog always getting close, and then at the last moment, they drop the ball, and it's the team you expected to win anyways who makes this just one round kind of, you can feel really swings it, and you got to hope if you're a compLexity fan that round hasn't occurred just yet. 14-12, Immortals have won the last 2 after being blanked for the whole half previous.
This aggressive pressure as well, now suddenly failing them. They are going to go back to holding more passive angles here. Surreal, the only one watching mid at this point. They have 2 committed to the A-bomb site, and the same thing over on B. But Android and Uber have been fairly good at, Android and Whitmer, apologies, have been fairly good at holding this up to this point. Uber's been good in his own right on watching A main. There is a very large B hit about to roll in, though, from the Immortal side. 3 of them stacked up, going to push right in, because they don't have that aggressive pressure. They don't know how big this is yet, but that's going to be a nice shot on a Henny, already bringing him down to 8 HP.
Henny's got to be so mad that just happened.
So random.
Yeah, and Phelps falls as well to Def. And this kind of limits the options of Immortals. Now they almost have to go for this kind of B hit. Surreal and Zeus, they could have a duel in mid. That might be the next big thing that comes out, but Zeus is going to bypass him completely and peek up into this bomb site. And they're not going to realize that he has this, because Surreal's watching mid the whole time. Zeus is the one who's got to make a play here. And it looks like he's going to. Easy kill on a Def. Does Surreal peek out for mid? Zeus is ready for it, but he can't win the fight. 3-on-2 at this B site. They've got to hit it. This is their last option. Whitmer being a boss. He's not getting hit whatsoever. Finally, Bolts takes him out. B bomb site under a lot of pressure. Android trying to survive. Can't do it. Down to a 2-on-2. There's 1 smoke to block off Surreal. Flashbang as well. And Uber's on the flank through vents.
Uber, though, is going to be on a timer here. Since he does have to break that vent, they're going to know when he's moving into the site. Uber just takes a guess and throwing his own nade in there, but Uber's already broken his way in, and now as he presses forward, he's looking for that headshot. It takes a while, but he does find it on Bolt. Henny with 6 HP, gonna have to try and clutch this out as he ducks behind the boxes here, waiting for the peek from Uber, waiting for him to fully peek, but he just takes a wild guess at it when he's sitting fully behind cover here. He's giving away where he's at. He's only got 2 bullets left in the chamber, as he will have to try and clutch this out with essentially that. I'm not even sure if he realizes it yet. Peeking out, there you go, out of ammo. They don't hear him reloading though, so they're gonna slow push, but regardless, they catch him mid-reload. Uber shuts it down, and it will be a 15th round now for complexity.
A little bit unfortunate. Whitmer stays alive for so long. I mean, there's that dink. He just hears the shots being fired and just takes it through the top of that piece of wood, I guess it would be. Lands that dink, and that's just harsh. Henny's alive the whole round, and he's left in this one-on-one with that 8 HP. But Whitmer staying alive just buys time for the rotate. Really well done. One more chance for Immortals, 12-15. complexity on the verge of causing an upset early on in the season. And it's back to mid control. Surreal with the AWP is going to watch the A bomb site. Def close up in mid. Whitmer and Uber with him as well. It's not fast pressure, but it's going to come in as soon as this Molotov expires. And Def is ready for it. He's waiting, and it looks like they want to go for the reverse boost, but they're holding off because they feel it coming. Def with one, Whitmer with another, and it looks like complexity have done it. It's a 4-on-2. Henny and Zeus have to pull off a miracle. It's a retake tactic on A, so they could at least get into the site.
2 of the remaining players now are going to try to push into the A bomb site. They've left themselves off of it, so they will allow them to push back in, but a flashbang inflicts both sides very heavily. Causes a stalemate for a few moments here, and as they try to push out into the flames, Henny will go, and an up shot to finish it off. It's all on Zeus, but he cannot do it, and there you go, folks. complexity with an absolutely huge upset against the Immortals. They're going to claim their first match here and go 1-3 for the season, the same record that now Immortals will hold as well with taking that additional loss.
Tried telling Ryu, you know, there's always hope. There's always hope.
Ryu's the one who called this. What are you talking about?
No, Ryu said that it was going to just be a blowout.
I'm very confused about like all of everyone's predictions now.
Yeah,
I feel like you're just trying to take credit, to be honest. I'm pretty sure you said this was going to be a stop as well.
I absolutely am just trying to take credit.
All right. Well, anyway, let's throw it over to Tom. Tom, what was up with that match, man?
I don't know. I think that Immortals got word that their League of Legends team threw, so they figured they might as well just throw it against complexity as well. But interestingly enough, it's the first time we've ever seen in Season 4 teams split maps. So to break this one down, I'm going to throw it over to Ryu at the Telestrator.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, that was impressive. And Moses actually said in pregame, if complexity wins, he was going to shave the logo into his chest hair for complexity. There's a picture nobody on Twitter wants to see. So we're going to take a quick look at a replay. This it showcased some teamwork and a really interesting hold that Immortals had in the first half. The teamwork that we saw first half, we really didn't see out of them second half. But you're going to notice that they're going to pull out of the site, but they're still keeping pressure. They're going to get a one pick from up top here, and then they're going to have some really good teamwork to get back into the site. So we're going to come back here to the board, and I'm going to draw this up. So they start this round off with kind of a normal A setup, but they're a little bit heavy back towards truck. And there's going to be a smoke that comes in. It's a very standard smoke. It blocks off visibility to highway. And then what happens on this is this player goes up on top of the ladder and gets a pick on a player in the door. And then the rotates are going to come over. This player, I forget who it was. I want to say it was Henny because I'm pretty sure it was the op. He actually fell back towards the truck while his teammate Highway pushed up. I think they ended up having another player that pushed here and had a set flashbang. And this is where having a set flashbang as opposed to one you're just throwing on the fly comes in super handy. There was a T that pushed up towards the box here, and the flashbang comes raining in from this player way back here. It pops into the site. So between the kill that they had on the player coming out of the door and then the player that I think there was one through a smoke, this flashbang gave them full control of the site, and they were able to take it back. It was really well communicated. It was well done. It was a little interesting in that the initial positions that they had looked like they weren't sure if they were going to give the site for the retake or try to hold it. They ended up in somewhere in the middle, but they made it work. And unfortunately, it just seemed like their teamwork petered out in that first half. Just didn't see it the same level in the second half.
Yeah, words of wisdom from Ryu. You got to know when to pull out. But interestingly enough, Uber really stepping it up in that match. She had a really rough first map and then kind of carried because, you know, from what I saw on the T side, Surreal and Whitmer only had 3 or 4 kills combined.
Yeah, both of them started off really, really slow. They were pretty bad in the first half. Second half, CT side, they definitely found their rhythm. They did a really good job on the complexity side. In CT side, they were boosting mid. They contested mid a lot, and they were getting those early picks. When Uber was getting boosted up on mid, he almost always got 2 kills. And then when they tried to hit sites going towards B, Whitmer and Surreal, who had been struggling a bit earlier in the first half, did a really good job. They used their utility. They slowed it down. They got a bunch of picks, and they were able to make that happen.
Yeah, and you can see Whitmer 14 and 19. Again, he only had 2 or 3 kills on that T side. So just a great job by everybody, really, you know, just stepping it up and staying positive. And that's a really hard thing to do when you're already 0-3 looking for your first win.
Yeah, this is a huge win for compLexity. They've been struggling a little bit, but this is one that they can say, hey, listen, that's almost a top 10 team in the world that we just took down on Cash, and people didn't believe we could do it. And now Moses has to shave our logo into his chest. So it's interesting. I think the Immortals, they played this style of Counter-Strike. We saw it against Cloud9, and we saw it again today. Their T side, it wasn't as execute heavy as we've become accustomed to. It was very, very much so like, let's throw a smoke, let's kind of lurk through it, and then let's just sit somewhere and see if we can make a play. Phelps was pretty effective on it, doing that type of thing on Cobblestone against Cloud9. It just didn't work today. The timing was a little bit off. They'd have, I think there was one when Zeus was in the pit at B. He took a shot on someone shoulder peeking because he thought he was rotating away. It just didn't work.
So there you saw the stats, and again, a great place to find news and stats. That's thescoreesports.com. So take out your iOS device or go on your Android device to the Google Play App Store and check it out. And stay tuned. We have some more awesome CSGO happening right after this break.